Hi guys, I'm Gasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome as always to our coffee times to discuss movies in horror. And today I have more of a thriller, but it's based on a true crime. So today we're going to be talking about the Boston Strangler.
It's coffee time.
First things first, I'm still going through a cold, so you can probably tell by my voice that I'm sick a little bit. I feel like it's the season. A lot of people are sick at the moment. Even my cat had a cold not long ago, so we're just going through it. And today I wanted to talk to you about a movie that just came out not long ago. It is a 2023 release. I believe it was released on Hulu, but we don't have that service here in the Netherlands, and everything that goes to Hulu, most of it comes here in Disney Plus. So that is where I found it, and that is where I watched it, and we're gonna talk about it, as always, spoiler free. The Boston Strangler is a 2023 American historical drama crime film by Matt Ruskin, and it is inspired and based on true events of the true crime story of the Boston Strangler. He was active in the 1960s and he killed allegedly 13 different women using the same modus operandi. The film stars Keira Knightley as Loretta Loughlin, and the movie is a lot more to pay homage to this woman that fought so hard to solve the crimes than to really dive deeper into who the Boston Strangler was. But there is a lot of investigation, of course, around the killer. Loretta McLaughlin worked for the Boston Record American, and she is the journalist that actually started the whole investigation on these murders. Reporter Loretta McLaughlin becomes the first person to connect a series of murders and break the story of the Boston Strangler. She and Jean Cole challenged the sexism of the early 1960s to report on the city's most notorious serial killer. Keira Knightley plays Loretta, our main character. She is a mother, but she's also working for a newspaper, and she is working currently on the lifestyle section. She finds that quite boring, and I thought it was really interesting because obviously you have all the male workers at the newspaper working like high cases and murder mysteries and stuff like that, and then you have this group of women that are just there for the lifestyle section, which sounds quite boring to me. And Loretta also feels really bored, and she's interested in other type of journalism. One day she starts investigating on these mysterious murders where women have been killed and strangled with their own tights, and the tights have been tied around their necks to create a beautiful bow, and she starts to realize that these crimes look very similar to each other. So she has the feeling that we are dealing here with a serial killer and the same person is responsible for all of these murders. So alongside with Jean Cole, which is her co-worker, they are allowed to start an investigation on their free time at the beginning and to dig a little bit deeper into the story. The director is approaching the story almost as a newspaper noir story, and it does feel similar a little bit to the Zodiac Killer, which I think it was a movie that I really enjoyed. Basically, I really enjoy this type of true crime stories where we dive a little bit deeper also in the investigation from the newspaper's point of view and all of the reporters that were alive back in the day. We have two women that understand the importance of solving these crimes because women are being killed in their own homes, and apparently the police is not doing as much as they should be doing. Ruskin, which is the director and writer of this film, I think he really wanted to pay homage to these two strong females that were trying to stop the killer from murdering more women, especially in their own neighborhood, because they didn't even feel safe themselves. And it explores their character and how they start to understand the magnitude of what they're getting themselves into, but they never stop fighting. They never stop sacrificing their own lives and marriages in order to get to the bottom of things. As the murders continue, Boston Strangler evolves with some additional intriguing circumstances as a movie about women in a predominantly male space while investigating a crime about women in danger. I think the script was pretty good because you have these women investigating a lot of leads and some of them get to a dead end, and it's that frustration that a lot of reporters and policemen have when they start an investigation. A lot of things look promising, but a lot of things also lead to dead ends, and it made the story quite realistic, which it is because it's based on a real story. But sometimes these movies can be so fictionalized to the point where things don't even feel real anymore. And I felt like with this movie, even though we do have a slow pacing and things are developing quite slow, it allows us as a viewer to kind of perform an investigation ourselves. We're also questioning who could be behind this, why is this happening, and we're also trying to figure out the steps maybe that Loretta could take in order to get the next piece of truth. The score is relaying a lot somber kind of tracks to keep us in that drama, in that state that Loretta is in, because she's trying to make this investigation work and she's putting all of her effort, her heart, her soul into it. She's even sacrificing her own marriage. Things are not good at home, but she knows she cannot stop investigating these cases. And the movie does feel heavy at times and quite sad because we see Loretta being defeated over and over again, but she just keeps fighting. Eventually the Boston Strangler comes to the point where we are really deep into recreating those events that happened in the 1960s, and we get to the good bits where we start to get twists and turns in the story, and I thought it was really interesting. I was engaged. The movie is a little bit long, perhaps a little bit too much for its own good, because it does have a slow pacing, but it also on the other hand feels like a truthful portrayal of the investigation and the events of how everything transpired back in the 60s. When it comes to the horror, sadly, I didn't feel like it really delivered. I don't feel like they went all in. The thing is, it almost felt at some point like, you know, these reenactments that they do in documentaries or in History Channel, it kind of felt like that. So it didn't felt as good as the other bits of the movie for me, so I didn't enjoy what I was supposed to enjoy the most, I guess, which are the death scenes or the murder scenes. I just feel like if they didn't even want to go into too much detail, because I know this is a true crime and it is a little bit more sensitive when it comes to showing, you know, victims and stuff like that, but this is a work of fiction at the end of the day, and these were really brutal murders, so I feel like there is not really much show, it's only tell, and that's why when it comes to the horror, it didn't really fulfill me. And what happens with this is that the horror, like the chills that you're supposed to get, are not there because you're not really being confronted with these violent acts. It's kind of like you see the Boston Strangler going to someone's apartment and then we cut and that's it. So that was a little bit disappointing for me. At the end of the day, I did give this movie a 3 out of 5 because I thoroughly enjoyed the whole investigation. I really enjoyed Keira Knightley playing Loretta. I feel like she did everything she could with the script that she was given. The script was really good, but at some point I feel like she didn't get the chance to evolve anymore as a character as much as she was at the beginning of the film. If you enjoy true crime stories, if you enjoy a good crime thriller from the 1960s, I think you will love this one. You don't even have to be familiar with the source material, with the real story. I feel like the way they put it together was a good investigation crime drama film. So if that's something that you enjoy, I will give this one a try. Just keep in mind that it is, I think, nearly 2 hours long, so it is a very slow paced film, but I truly enjoyed it. I think that the director did a good job portraying the characters of Jean and Loretta and giving them the story that they needed, but he kind of gets lost with the telling of the larger story here. So this was, you guys, my spoiler-free review of the Boston Strangler, now streaming in different services. Here in the Netherlands is on Disney Plus. So if you have access to it, I do recommend you guys to give it a chance. Let me know down below if you've heard of it, if you've already watched it, what you thought of it. Let's talk about it in the comments, and I hope to see you all, as always, in our next coffee time. Bye!